Nomad Brad coming to you from my client's Ram ProMaster. How the heck are you? Just hanging out on the beach of beautiful San Diego, enjoying some ocean views, doing a little electrical work today. Happy to see you guys here. I'm on my iPhone. Let me know how the sound is. Diana Saylor's in the chat. Diana's doing good. My bus has the dash light panel fixed and working, and it has 6 new tires, safe to drive on the road. Happy to hear it, Diana Saylor. Will Ty's in the house. Simple Box is in the house. Simple Box is fitting his roof solar, but it's been raining, so I'll have to wait until it's dry so the VHB tape will stick. Yes, you want a dry roof before you slap down that VHB. Happy to hear that people are trying it out. I've been very happy with the VHB tape. Charles Serratos in the chat. Hello, Polymath. Nomad King Gamer. We've been reunited here in San Diego. King Gamer's next to me. Scott says 0 degrees this morning. Got to get out of this place. Yeah, when I woke up here on the beach in San Diego, it was about 50. So really not that. I can't complain. 50 degrees ain't that bad compared to Scott waking up at 0 degrees. That's no good. Nomad Brad got a haircut, went down to Algodones, Mexico. I got a haircut and brand new eyeglasses. Got a new Nomad Brad's got a new look. Pretty happy with it. Got the 12. The haircut was a little more this time. It was $12, but I went to, normally it's like 6, but I went to a like a male barber shop rather than before I went to the last time I went. I had this lady and Mike is peaking pretty badly. Last time I went to get my hair cut, I had this lady cut it, and let me see if I can turn the mic down. And she didn't know what she was doing, and she had to bring in like another lady to help her. There were 2 ladies cutting my hair. Hold on, let me see. Okay, I turned the mic down. The mic has 3 levels, and so it was on like the middle level. So I set it, I dropped it down. That should help with the peaking. Let me know if that sounds better. Thank you for telling me. Mike is way better. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Happy to hear it. So the glasses, here's the story on the glasses. These are actually Oakley carbon plate frames. These are discontinued. You can't even get these anymore. I bought these on eBay for $100. Very nice frames. I've had them before. That's why I like them. They're like carbon fiber, super lightweight. I bought the frames for $100 on eBay, and then I went to Algodones and I got an eye exam, and they put in these prescription lenses for me, and it was only $80. So that's a really good value. 180 bucks out the door, basically 100 bucks for frames on eBay, 80 bucks for an eye exam plus the prescription lenses installed. And they did it the same day, which is super cool. Down in Mexico, they have like a whole lab of people that do the eyeglass frames. I've had the same thing done before in America at America's Best, but they have to send your glasses out, probably to Mexico, and then you got to wait for them to return. The whole process takes a couple weeks. So it's awesome to be able to cross the border, same day service, super low prices. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Mexico. So I'll show you guys what we got going on today. I am in a client ProMaster. That's why I came back to San Diego. For those of you that didn't know, I did return to San Diego. I'll only be here for about a week to do this installation, and then I'm heading up to Schooly Palooza. But I'll show you guys what I got going on. Check out my professional lighting setup. Right, look at all this. Just so I can talk to you guys and show you what I'm working on. I got a couple lights set up, and I got my Anchor Solex power station, and so that's got its built-in light, kind of cool. And then additionally, it's also running this light here and that light there. My nighttime work setup. Someone asked about dental. Yes, I do. I have had dental done in Mexico. Um, I had a cleaning. That's all I've had done. I haven't never had any like fillings or, advanced dental work, but I've had a cleaning. It's pretty cheap. I don't remember. It was like 50 bucks for a cleaning. And the dental hygienists are typically pretty cute, younger, apprentices. So that helps out. It was a good experience. The one thing I will say is be cautious about recommendations they make and then the work that you have done. The place I went to, um, so I hadn't been to the dentist in like 4 years. I hate the dentist. I don't go that often. I hadn't been in 4 years, but I know my teeth are pretty good. So I went to get this cleaning in Algodones, and the guy they do the X-rays and pictures and all that shit. And the ladies come back and they're like, "Oh, you have 14 cavities." And so you need to get those, drilled and filled, and it's going to be this much money. And I was like, 14 cavities. I haven't been to the dentist in a few years, maybe 4 years, but to go from 0 to 14 is a little suspicious. And I have really good dental history. Like, I only have one cavity in my entire life, and it was when I was a child. So I was like, I don't know if I believe that. So I just told her to, no, thank you. And then I went to Texas like a year later, and I got an appointment at the Texas dentist just to get a new retainer. I wear a retainer at night. And so it came with like a full checkup and cleaning. Texas dentist, zero cavities. I was like, I kind of knew they were bullshitting me, but I was like, man, could you imagine if I just took those people's word and I had 14 perfectly fine teeth drilled and filled? What a mess. What a mess. So that's my only word of caution is, I mean, I don't know if it's because the girls were young and unexperienced, or if I don't know what the story was, but yeah, that's my experience with dental in Mexico. But it is a very low price. So I think it's a good spot to get cleanings. I think what I would probably do, honestly, if I was trying to have like a big amount of work done, like bridges and crowns and shit, I would get that diagnosed in America. You know what I mean? Just make sure you know what's going on. And then you could, once you kind of have an estimate of what you need, then you could go to Mexico and have the work done. Because I think they do perform good work. My parents have had a lot of work done in Mexico. I mean, complete dental implants and stuff, and they've had good success. So, anyway, that's just my word of caution. I don't know. I'm just a guy that installs solar in a van. What do I know? So here's the project we're working on tonight. This is a RAM ProMaster. I don't know what length it is, but it's basically a clean slate. They added flooring and insulation, and then they have this kind of subfloor plywood on top. They put some, I think, Havelock wool in the walls, and then they put these like, what do you call those, furring strips. And so they're going to put all their wall paneling up there. They did a pretty good job. I mean, they said they've never really done this before. So, um, for a first attempt, they did good. They installed this window, so looks pretty good. They built out this bench. So when I received the van this morning at about 10 a.m., and so they built this little electrical cabinet that's going to be like a bed bench situation, like a flip up bench. And so I started out with nothing in there, and this is where I got today. So they're doing, and this was one where um, I met with them in person when I was here in San Diego a few weeks ago, and we talked about what they wanted. And so I put together a parts list and then just sent that over to them, and they just bought everything I told them to buy, which was pretty cool. So we got two Li Time 12-volt, 300 amp hour batteries. We have a Renogy 12-volt, 3,000-watt pure sine inverter and charger. So this will power all their 120-volt loads, the microwave, the induction cooktop. It's also going to have a shore power plug that will get installed on the wall. So they can plug in to an external power source and it will charge the batteries, and it will also power all their it will also power all the outlets. Yeah, yeah, the 3,000 watt unit is nice. It's beefy. My only complaint on the 12 volts. Oh, really? The 2K Renogy only has a 20 amp transfer switch. Yeah, that's kind of rough because most like campground power and stuff is going to be 30 amps. Uh, but it's all good. Yeah, 30 amps on this one. My only complaint is you have to use 4-aught battery cable, which is just huge and kind of a fight. Country roads. I'm based in EU. If I book a call with you, would I be able to get a parts list? Yeah, no problem. I'll put together a parts list off Amazon EU or something. No sweat. I know you guys do like 220 volts out there, so it'll take me a little extra time, but I can figure it out for you. No problem. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I was gonna just mention. Um, also, I'll show you guys. Here's the ring terminals. Let's see, what do we got right here? So here's the ring terminals. Look how big that is. That's for a 4-aught wire 5/16 hole, and they're just so big. Even nothing really likes them because they're just so big. They don't engineer that stuff to really accept that. So like the Renogy, the lugs on the inverter were really a tight fit, although I did get them into place. The other end of these wires are going to go up into this Lynx distributor. But like, watch, if I take this piece and try to fit it in there, it doesn't fit because there's this little piece down in here. So it doesn't really fit. And this is Victron, which is interesting because Victron's like, that's the holy electrical brand. And even their stuff, it's like it's not quite right. So um I have some different brands. Like look at this. That's both 4-aught, but look at the difference in size. So part of it, I guess, is due to the brand of the terminal, but I'll be able to make these fit, but it's still it's just so stinking tight. It's just crazy. Yeah, Matt, 4-watt is just a mess. It's such a mess. I hate it. And like look at the and so the thing is, so I'll share with you guys how this system works. We're going from the battery. The positives are linked and the negatives are linked because we're keeping the system at 12 volts. And then we're going up into a fuse holder, into the on-off disconnect. And then we're going into the Victron Lynx power distribution system. And then from here, this is where we connect all of our items. So the inverter or the batteries are basically coming in here. The inverter will come in here. The solar charging will come in on this set. They have a 12-volt air conditioner, which will come in on this set over here. And then they will have a 12-volt, fuse block for their water pump and fan and stuff like that. And that'll come in over here. But the challenge is, um, oh, Christina Koo with the super chat. Thank you, Christina. I appreciate that. I talked with Christina on the phone today, helped her out a little bit. Um, so Christina is having the same issue a lot of us are having, which is just in the winter, especially like as we get close to winter solstice. There's just not a lot of solar available. The sun isn't very high in the sky, so your solar panels aren't getting direct sunlight. It's kind of at like a 60-degree angle. And then it's only sunny from like 9:30 to 2:30, and then the sun's starting to go down. So there's just not a lot of hours, and the sunlight isn't that powerful. And she has a small solar system. She has I don't know, like 300 280-watt panels. So she needs more solar, and she's kind of struggling. But I think that's all it is. I think it's the system's probably okay. So hopefully we can link up at some point, and maybe I can help her get some more panels, or maybe she knows a solar guy up north. I think she's up by like maybe the Bay Area or something. So anyway, appreciate it, Christina. Happy to help you out. And I was going to say too, I've been talking with a lot of you guys, a lot of YouTube subscribers. A lot of people have been booking the one-on-one sessions, and um, I've been consulting a lot on system designs and conversions, and I enjoy it. So I'm happy to help you guys out, and I'm glad, like I guess my presence is growing, so more people are finding me and then reaching out for help. So I really enjoy that. Yeah, I was gonna say when I was on the phone today with Christina, right before I called her, I was doing a one-on-one with a client who's over in New Jersey, and then this other job just came in, which apparently this is Simple Box. So we'll talk to him tomorrow and see what's going on with Simple Box. But yeah, I love doing it. Happy to help you guys out, and I enjoy like troubleshooting and problem solving and creating solutions, and that's kind of what I really enjoy. So it's fun for me, and I know it's helpful for you guys, so it's a win-win situation. So going back to this electrical system, we're talking about the 4-aught power cable. So anytime you have 12 volts and a 3000-watt inverter, you have to do 4-aught cable, which is massive, and you have to use the inverter will pull a minimum of 300 amps. It can it can pull more than 300 amps even as the battery voltage drops. So you have to use a 400 amp primary fuse, which means you also have to use a special fuse holder because all those little cheap plastic ANL fuse holders, they're only rated for like 300 watts. So I got this big bad boy. Look at this thing. And that's not even the right fuse. But look at that big fuse holder. It's got these big like nickel plated terminals on it. Very heavy duty, very heavy duty. It fits the 4-aught nicely. But I'll show you guys just with 4 gauge, everything just has to be so damn beefy. So actually, so check this out. This is your typical ANL fuse. This is what I use on a 24-volt system. It's 150 amps. This is what I use in mine. Works great. It's a plastic housing with the little metal like filament. Where's my camera at? It's on the left side. A little metal filament on the inside. I don't know why that won't focus. Anyway, there we go. Right? So that's a 150 amp fuse. This is the fuse I have to use for this 12-volt, 3000-watt inverter. Look at that thing. Gold plated. The little fuse piece in the middle is massive, and it's ceramic housing. Because they run so hot, you can't even use a plastic housing like on a regular fuse. So just look at the difference in the internal filament on this one versus this one. You can just see how much amps you're messing with. It's just not fun. So um, that's why I always recommend 24-volt systems if people can do it. It's just easier. It's less current flowing. It's safer, smaller wires. Somebody asked why this lady or why we're doing a sci-fi door key. Yeah, exactly. Somebody asked, hold on, let me set up this tripod here. I'm going to change this fuse out while we're talking. So somebody asked why they're doing a 12-volt system because if you know old Nomad Brad, I recommend 24-volt systems, and you can see why. It's just much more manageable. But this client already had some components selected, and they want to use um, a 12-volt air conditioner. And so for those reasons, we're doing a 12-volt electrical system. And I mean, the reality is there are a lot of 12-volt systems out there. All the RVs run at 12 volts. A lot of sprinters do it. You can do it. I just don't like it, right? So I just say if you can avoid it, avoid it. But in this client's case, they already were in motion on a 12-volt system. And so I just agreed to kind of, you know, continue on with what they had going. But whenever I do consultations for people and like if we're designing a system from scratch, I try to do 24. In fact, the consultation I had today with a gentleman um, named Shannon in New Jersey, he bought a 14-foot box truck and he had a whole Amazon parts list picked out and it was all 12-volt stuff. And I told him, no, we're not doing it, bro. You're starting from scratch. It's a nice build. He's gonna have all kinds of electronics. I said we're gonna do a 24-volt system. Another thing to consider is a 24-volt system is more efficient when you're for your solar, charging the battery, and also for um, when you're using the inverter. Okay, so that fuse is all locked in, 400 amps, shiny and gold, ready to go. And then it's got this little cover you put on, kind of like this, kind of like that. Boom, boom. There she is, safe. So, another thing to keep in mind on the 24-volt systems, and I was explaining this to Shannon today because he had a 12-volt picked out. Yeah, it's an Econoline. Uh, he she bought Shannon bought a 14-foot Econoline. No, not Econoline. I'm sorry. It's a GMC Safari 3500. Um, but anyway, when you're charging your battery bank with solar panels, usually your solar voltage is going to be a minimum of like 35 volts. It could be all the way up to 100 volts. And then you have to step the voltage down to charge your battery bank. So, like, if you have a 12-volt lithium battery, it charges at 14 volts, 14.4. And so you have to step down from like 40 to 80 volts to 100 volts down to 14 volts. So that's really inefficient. And then when you're running the inverter, you have to go from 12 volts all the way to 120 volts versus the 24-volt system, you're going from 24 to 120. So 24 volts is twice the voltage of 12. So a 24-volt system is kind of twice as efficient as 12. 48-volt is even more efficient. Um, but I've stated my reasons. I don't do 48 at the moment. You can't buy a lot of 48-volt native appliances, but you can buy 28-volt refrigerators, diesel heaters, water pumps, lighting. And so anytime you can run a device directly off the battery power, that's like your most efficient way of doing it. You're not going through a converter, you're not changing the voltage. Um, so that is the best choice. So once they start making 48-volt appliances, 48-volt water pumps and refrigerators and LED lights, then I would consider a 48-volt electrical system, but not until then. So that's kind of my thoughts. I'm here in San Diego. Um, I'm going to be here for probably a week, and I'm planning on leaving maybe Monday or Tuesday to go up to Palooza. I don't think I'll get this job completed, which I kind of knew I wouldn't because obviously the build isn't done. So I talked to her about doing two different phases. Like I'll get all the basic electrical in, the solar. I'm going to install an outlet for her. So I'll put in one outlet so at least she can have some power, charge their devices. So while they're working on the build, they can use their electrical system they have in here. Um, but I'll have to come back after it's built out and wire in the outlets and switches and lighting, stuff like that. The max fan isn't even in here yet, so it'll be a two-parter. So that's what we got going on. Um, a lot of people are asking if I sold the van. I haven't sold the van yet, so um, I don't know if I was clear with you guys, but I can't actually sell the van until at least February because I still need it. Like for this job, I already had this job booked when I listed the van for sale, so I knew that I couldn't sell it right away. So there's been many people interested. I've had to tell everybody it's not ready until February. So I believe it'll probably sell sometime in February, and then I'll be looking at picking up an Isuzu box truck. I found a couple that are 18-foot boxes, 18 feet long, 8 feet wide, 8 feet tall. Absolute monster. But because the Isuzu cab chassis is super short, my bumper to bumper length is only like 25 feet, which is pretty nice. So I'm stoked. It's huge. I'm going to build a badass tiny house. It's really going to be it's really gonna be more of a house that happens to have wheels on it than it is gonna be like a van life. I'm going all out on this thing. The simple box says the Isuzu is the evolution of the box builds. It's when you do the math on it, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to argue with. The only thing is I wish it had a bigger engine. Simple box, I nearly got one with 89,000 miles for 3K. Holy cow, bro, that's a low price. That's crazy. So the one I'm looking at, it's in LA. Hopefully it didn't burn down. I don't know. Um, it's a 2004. I would rather it not have something so old, but it only has 40,000 miles, and it's the 5.2 liter diesel, and it has the lift gate on the back. So it's, I mean, oh, and the price is, he was asking 11,000, and he just lowered the price to 9,500 bucks. So I'm thinking I could probably offer him 8 grand cash, and he'll probably take it. I mean, it's been for sale for like 3 months. I'm sure he just wants to unload it. So you can't register him in California. So whoever's gonna buy it is gonna have to be out of state anyway. And most people aren't gonna buy that rig and then pay to like ship it out of state. It's a very specific person that's gonna buy that vehicle. Very specific, like me. So that just might be my next home on wheels. Polymath, need to sell my house Fiesta. Probably I'll buy my rig at the border. Here it's garbage on wheels. And meet Brad from Nomadics for my rig, probably in summer. King. Yeah, heck yeah. Polymath, happy to hear it. Um, there's a lot of deals on rigs here in California. Country Roads, can't wait to watch you build it live. What's the estimated budget for your build if you're comfortable sharing? Yeah, that's a good question. The budget for the build. I mean, I kind of want to spend like, I think about 20 grand. I'd like to spend 20 grand on materials, and I'd like to think that's going to be enough. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the benefit is I know how to get solar panels really cheap. A subscriber, one of you guys, sent me a Sun Gold Power 12-volt, 3,000-watt inverter for free, which I'm very grateful for. So I won't have to pay for that. Um, Epoch gave me 10,000 watt hours of lithium, not for free. I had to make him a bunch of videos, but I don't have to pay for that. So there's a lot of stuff that like normally would be an expense I'm not gonna have to pay for. So I'm hoping 20 grand will cover it. Now going with a bigger box, 18 feet, all the plywood, the insulation, the flooring, all that kind of stuff is gonna cost more. And I like to build stuff nice and like fancy and to look good aesthetically. So I'm not going to put in cheap stuff. I'll put in, good quality things. I'll still shop on Amazon. I'll still get deals. I'm not going to be going to some like high dollar, home remodeling store, but I'm not going to put in the cheapest stuff. So I'm guesstimating $20,000 as my guess. And if you think about it, 20,000 in materials, the rig will cost me 10,000. Inevitably, I'll probably have to spend another 5,000 in repairs on the rig. Minimum, that's just a given. A 2004 diesel. I'm definitely going to have a mechanic look at it and get it inspected, but that's still not a guarantee. They can only do so, they can only tell so much. So this time I'm going to do a bunch of preventative maintenance to it before I take it on a trip. I'm going to do the starter, the alternator, all the belts, hoses, fuel lines, water lines, probably change the radiator. I'm just going to do all that stuff right off the bat, unless it's been done recently. What would you change from this truck build on the fresh start? More insulation, different entrance, exits. Um, I'm changing everything. The new build, everything's going to be different. I'm doing the bed in the back instead of the front. I'm doing an elevator bed, electric elevator bed. I'm doing my main man entry door is going to be on the side. And in the very back, I'm going to have the flip up hatch with the drop down deck piece. Well, I might not have the drop down deck because I have a lift gate on the back. But I'll have some kind of a combination of doors that open up in the back. So basically, and then with the elevator bed, I'll be able to lay in bed. I'm gonna have huge ass windows. I'm talking 5-foot windows. So I'll have the head of my bed on the driver's side. So I'll have a big 5-foot window right in front of me on the passenger side. And then I'll have a 5-foot by like 30-inch window on the very back on the upper part. So my goal is when I'm laying in bed, I got just panoramic, boom, boom, panoramic views. I can see everything going on with huge windows. And then when I motorize the bed up, I'll have a seating area underneath with a big like bench, like a U-shaped bench. And so when I'm hanging out, I can have people over, we can, chill and then we can still look out all the windows, or I can put the deck down and open that up and we can see outside. So it's gonna be really nice. I'm stoked. I can see the vision. And it's funny, I was talking to my dad about this like a few weeks ago. And he was like, it'd probably be a smart decision if you waited a year to do a new build out because you have so much going on with your businesses. And I'm launching Nomadics and I have all these new parts that I need to make videos for, which I'm going to be doing hopefully with Sir on Dave soon on his Kodiak build. And so my dad's like, it would be smart to just wait a year to do a new build out and just focus this year on your business and everything. And I said, I mean, you're 100% correct. That would be the smart decision. The wise decision would be to wait, but the problem is it's too late. I've already visualized the new build. Like I see everything that's happening. I see how like amazing it's going to look. I'm already envisioning the videos I'm going to make for it. Like there's no going back. It's too late. So I just got to plow ahead. And so that just means I'm gonna be incredibly busy for the next 12 months, but yeah, simple box. You can't put Pandora back in the box. Like, I've already figured out what rig I wanna buy. I've already listed my rig for sale. I already have the plans, the vision, the dreams. Like, I can't stop. I'm an addict. Gotta get another box truck build going. Gotta get another box truck build going. So, yeah, 18-foot Isuzu is what I'm looking at. And, it's not the NPR, it's gonna be the NQR. That's the one I'm looking at in San Diego. The benefit or in Los Angeles. The benefit is the NPR, that's the regular Isuzu you guys see driving around. That has a 14,500 gross vehicle weight rating. So that's the maximum amount of capacity of everything plus the trailer driving down the road. The NQR that I'm looking at has a rating of 18,500. So I get an extra 4,000 pounds. I can load that bitch down, 100 gallons of fresh water, tow a trailer if I want to. So I just have a lot more flexibility with that platform. So when I add all this together, I just can't deny it. It seems like the perfect platform. But what's curious to me is they all use the same engine. It's only a 5.2 liter diesel, turbo diesel, and it only puts out like uh 230 horsepower. And I'm like 230 horsepower. Like it's a bullshit. My Econoline puts out like 325 horsepower. How are you going to move 19,000 pounds down the road with 230 horsepower? Now, it does have like 400 foot-pounds of torque, which is nice, but the horsepower just like, man, that's what gets you up to speed. So that's a little disappointing. I would like to have a 6 or a 7 liter, but they really don't do it. Isuzu does make a 7-liter diesel. That's what Marky Mark has in his 20-foot box, but it's only in the big cab chassis, I think it's the FTR. Anyway, that ain't happening for me. So I just got to make it happen with a 5.2 liter, and it's just going to be slow, slow, Slow down the road. It's gonna be a turtle race. Yeah, Diana Saylor is asking about my gray water. It is currently underneath my sink. So in my van, that's the only gray water source I have is my sink. And so in my last box truck, I was in the same position. I only had a sink and I had a 30-gallon gray water tank. And like it's totally ridiculous because by the time you fill up a 30-gallon gray water with only gray water from your sink, the water is so stinky and gross and overgrown that it's not realistic. You should be emptying your gray water more often than that. So that's why in this build, I just put a 10-gallon under the sink. And I usually just let my gray water drip, but if I'm like parked at my dad's or in someone's driveway, I close it and I can go 2 weeks easily on that 10 gallons of gray water. So that's what I got going on. 10 gallons of gray. So that's my story. I'll be here doing this job. I'm going to have some help from Sir on Dave. In the next couple days, we're going to put the solar on the roof. This lady has two 320-watt solar panels. So Dave's going to help me with that. And then she's got a 12-volt air conditioner. I never installed one before, so that'll be a learning experience. Yeah, I mean, not going to be an issue, but it's just it'll take longer because I'm just not familiar with it. So probably watch a couple of YouTube videos, figure out how it works, and I don't know. Then we'll tackle it. So that's what I'm working on. If you guys have any questions, you drop them in the chat. Otherwise, think I'm going to keep going on this electrical job. So you guys can see how Nomad Brad does it, do a little firsthand experience, and let's see what we got. Oh, by the way, Adventures with Super Dave left me a super chat. Thank you, Super Dave. I appreciate it. We got 69 people right now watching. I love it. Happy to see the people are watching. Let's see the chat. Make sure I didn't miss anything. RSA asks, did you ever work in theater? Your setup and presentation is photogenic. No, never in theater, man. Never, ever. I've been doing YouTube videos for four, 4 years. I don't know. I've just always been pretty comfortable, uh, like in front of people. I was pretty good at public speaking in high school. I did a lot of you do a lot of presentations and stuff. I was always just kind of pretty good at it. So I don't know, man. It's built in. It's built in. Simple Box says you're gonna have to get a trailer on the back as a warehouse. It's quite possible. The goal with the 18-foot box truck is I'm gonna have a whole wall, like probably 5 feet wide, floor to ceiling, 8 feet tall, and it's gonna be nothing but parts and tools. Very excited about that. Actually, probably only parts because I'll have like the big metal storage boxes underneath the box truck, and that's where I'll keep most of my tools. So it's probably only going to be parts and supplies inside. So I'll have a hefty amount of space, but depending how things go with the business and shipping, there is a possibility I will additionally have to pull a trailer behind me. So who knows? We'll see what happens. Trill Lenny asks if I'm in San Diego. Yes. I'm not still in San Diego. I just got to San Diego yesterday, 2 days ago. I was in Yuma. Uh, okay. Looks like that's it for the chat. The Simple Box says, would you recommend mini split installation under the box, or would you still keep it on the back of your truck? Um, so I would say if you have room under the truck, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good place for it. I've seen mini splits installed underneath school buses. And so I'll just have to look at this NPR and see how much ground clearance I have. It's the thing about the NPR is the tires and wheels are pretty small. So it's not really high off the ground, I don't think. But if there's room for it, I'll put it underneath. I think with like Dave's Kodiak, he's got a little bit more ground clearance, so he could probably fit a full size mini split underneath his. But yeah, that's something I'll have to look at. But I would recommend it under the rig if it'll fit. Adventures with Super Dave says I'm getting my box in February also. I'm sticking with a 17-foot U-Haul diesel. Happy to hear it. Yeah, that's a good size, plenty of space. Honestly, I wouldn't get this 18-foot box if it wasn't for my business. I just have to haul a bunch of crap with me. But if I was just like if I had a computer job or a job that didn't require me to have all these tools and parts, I would probably get a 16 foot. I think a 16 is about premium, just about the perfect size. Will Ty says, I see they have kill mat. Are you going to use it on your build? Have you worked on a 48 volt system? I've never used kill mat. Well, maybe yeah, I think in my first van, my Econoline, I did. Um, but so I think the main reason they do like kill mat on vans is because they're trying to reduce vibration and they have limited space. So they like the kill mat because it's thin and it absorbs vibration. But like in my box truck, I have an inch of insulation on the floor and like an inch and a half on the walls, which is plenty. So I don't think you need kill mat as long as you have like that much insulation. That's my opinion. Or, also I'm using rigid foam. They're using Havelock wool. So Havelock wool is not really that good for sound deadening. Havelock wool is good for like temperature regulation. So if you're using Havelock, it makes sense to use Killmat. But if you're using rigid foam like what I have, like the thick, polystyrene or I don't know, I think it's polystyrene, then I don't think you need Killmat. Jennifer Gordon, have you ever worked with a 48-volt system? I'm needing a lot of power for my build and I can't find anyone to do the electrical. Yeah, so I have. So I've worked with multiple 48-volt systems, Jennifer. And here's the thing. I designed a system for a client that lives in Nebraska, like small town Nebraska. And so I designed the entire system for them. When I do designs, I engineer everything. I include a wiring diagram. I include a parts list, and I have written instructions. And it literally says, like if you look at the diagram, you can see all the components. They're labeled. You can see the wire runs. The wire run is labeled. The instructions literally say, for wire run number 7 on the picture diagram, use 12 gauge wire, use a 5/16 ring terminal. I mean, it literally says everything to do. So anybody that is competent of crimping wires can basically DIY this installation following my directions. And so what this guy in Nebraska did because he was just not comfortable. He found a car stereo guy, like a guy at a local car stereo shop that was able to install it for him, follow my instructions. So, pretty much wherever you live, if you have me design a system for you, you can find somebody locally who will be able to install it, whether that be a car stereo guy or like a trailer wiring guy or a mobile RV guy. Um, it's not the difficulty is in understanding what components are needed, what size wire. That's the hard part. Installing it is easy. So, long story short, if you hire me to design a system for you, you can absolutely find someone local who will be able to install it. And I've done that multiple times. I did one for a lady in Florida and she had her neighbor install it. And I talked to him. He was just um, an older guy that was like handy. And that was it. An older guy that was handy. And he was somewhat skilled at crimping wires. He'd worked on cars and he installed the entire system. And we got it up and running and there was no problems. And I was available to do some troubleshooting over the phone with a couple of questions they had. But at the end of it, we got it up and running and they had no problems. Jim says, how will you register it? A truck or an RV? Uh, So I'm gonna do mine as a I'm gonna keep mine. I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm gonna keep my NPR as a business vehicle, and I'm not gonna classify it as an RV because I think it's extra stealthy. Because when the cops run your license plate, if it's registered as an RV, when they run your plate, it's gonna come back as an RV. So they're gonna know someone's living in it. But if you keep it as a commercial vehicle, when the cops run your plate, it just comes back registered to, say Solaire Service commercial vehicle. So it's extra stealthy. Um, and it's not for me, it wasn't that big of a difference. I had my box truck registered as a commercial vehicle in Texas, and it was only 100 bucks a month. Uh, so that's 1,200 bucks a year. Jim says, let's see, a vehicle registration will be a $500 a year. Oh, vehicle registration. That's crazy. So I was paying 100 bucks a month for insurance, which I think is pretty reasonable. Registration in Texas was only 100 something dollars. And in Arizona, it's similar. It's about 100 bucks for insurance as a commercial vehicle, and registration is similar. It's not too crazy. It sounds like Pennsylvania has some pretty strict registration. I don't know why it's so expensive. But yeah, I mean, if cost was a major issue, then I would switch it to an RV. Outdoors Dreadhead says I got a trailer behind my shuttle bus for all my tools. Simple box. I think kill mat is to stop resonance of the metal. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the kill mat is kind of to stop the vibrating, the resonance, and so the Havelock isn't going to do anything. So yeah, it makes sense why they use kill mat on thin sheet metal. It's popular in the wheel wells. You can see they put it over the wheel well. They put it in some strategic spots on the door, on the wall. But I've seen YouTube videos of people that coat every inch in kill mat, which I think is a bad choice. Kill mat is super heavy. It adds a lot of weight and it's expensive. So I think adding some like around the wheel wells and around the panels here is probably a good idea, but I wouldn't get too crazy with it. And if you're in a box truck, I don't think you need it. Let's go back to the chat. Hector says, Brad, greetings from South Texas. Is it possible to build a box truck and still keep the rolling door? Yeah, absolutely. Sir on Dave still has his roll up door. You don't have to remove it. Just know that if you don't remove your roll up door, out whatever temperature the outside air is coming straight into your box truck because those roll up doors are not airtight. So that was a struggle Sir on Dave had trying to run his air conditioner in the summer, is that all the hot air was coming in through his roll-up door, and in the winter right now, all the cold air is coming in his roll-up door. So keep that in mind, Hector. If if you're going to live in it full time, it's not ideal unless you're going to be traveling and following the good weather. But if you're in hot weather or you're in cold weather, that air is coming right into your box truck. It's going to be a bitch to try to fight it with an air conditioner or a diesel heater. AJ Scoggins in the chat says, yo, 2 days till we leave for Schoolie Palooza. Happy to hear it, AJ. I won't be leaving until the end of the week. Maybe Monday, see how it goes. But I'll definitely be there and I'll stay up to date. Let me know when you get a spot. I got a couple people already that want to come down and circle up with you. So let me know when you got a location. Hopefully you can send me a pin and put the word out, and we'll start rallying up the people. I talked to my cousin Lonnie; he's coming down. So cousin Lonnie is a super nice guy. He's a character. You guys will enjoy cousin Lonnie. So he'll be there. Sir on Dave's going to be there. I'll be there. King Gamer might come out. I talked to Mark from Wanderbox. He's possibly going to come out. AJ is going to be there. So we're going to have a good group. I think Dreadhead's going to come over. It'll be fun. Jennifer in the chat, how much do you charge for a design? As I already have some of the equipment that was given to me cheap from a friend who decided not to build. Could you design around items already owned? Absolutely, Jennifer. Um, so here's the thing. When it comes to having a solar system installed and hiring a professional, professionals are not cheap. And that goes for auto mechanics, residential electricians, residential plumbers. And what you're paying these people for Think of a residential electrician that comes to your house. You're paying them for their knowledge. You're not paying them to, you know, put wires in the wall. You're paying them for their knowledge of knowing what wires to install, how to install them in a safe manner. And so that's what you're paying for, really, is their understanding, their knowledge, their ability to know what you need and assemble everything in a correct manner. And so when you hire me to install a solar system in person, you're hiring me for the same thing. You're hiring me for my knowledge and my experience to do the job correctly and safely and reliably. And so when you hire me to design a system, the difference is it's going to be cheaper than having me do the install in person, because you can the person that actually does the install is probably going to be less expensive because he doesn't need to have all the skill set that I have of how everything goes together. He just has to know how to follow instructions. So when you install a system that I design, the actual installation of it is going to be much less expensive, but it's going to cost you a little more to have the system designed. So what the design process looks like for me is we have a Zoom meeting face to face, and it's quite lengthy. And we'll go through what vehicle you have, what your layout is, where everything needs to go, what equipment you already have or you're considering having, and then I have to go to work and I have to start planning everything out. There's a lot of math and calculations involved. So I have to research all the products that you have or you want to have, figure out how many watts and volts all these appliances use. So I know what size wire, what size fuses, what size breakers. So I can calculate all these things. And then once I have all that information, then I sit at the computer and by hand, I design a color blueprint schematic with all the individual parts and pieces that you're going to have in your vehicle, where they go. And then I put together, excuse me, a parts list. I go and scour the internet. I find all the parts that you need. I find out, I put them into a list so that you can just easily go through and buy all those items. I put down a quantity so you can buy 2 or 3 items or one item. You know exactly how much to buy. And then I put together an instruction list for whoever's installing it. So they know wire A goes from this point to that point. This wire goes from this point to that point, and they're just putting stuff in its place. And it takes me quite a lot of time to do that. And so it's a one-time price and it's $1,000. And if you do that and go through that process, oh, and additionally, it also includes support. So that one-time price of $1,000 includes phone support, it includes a video chat. So if you're working through the install and you're not sure about something, you can FaceTime me, we can talk about it, I can help you out. If we run into a problem, we need to make modifications, something like that, all that's included. So it's a one-time price, you get access to Nomad Brad, and we're kind of working on the project together, even though I'm not physically there doing it for you, the installation part. And then in one case for my client in Nebraska, when he had the car stereo guy doing the install, I had to talk on the phone to the car stereo guy to tell him what's going on. And we worked it out. He says, "What is this thing? Where does this go?" And I walked him through it. So that's all included in my price. I think it's very reasonable. Um, and to give you an idea, if I was going to physically install a complete 48-volt system for you, my labor charge would be $3,000 to $4,000. So it's not cheap necessarily, but it's worth it. And I'll tell you, out of all the things that go into a van build or any kind of tiny home, the last thing you want to skimp on is the electrical. Because out of the electrical, that's really the only system in your entire install that if it fails, it could potentially harm you or it could, damage your vehicle. Um, I guess the only exception is like plumbing. If it leaks, it could damage the vehicle. But if something catches fire, I mean, it could burn your rig down, right? It could, you know, unalive you. So it's pretty important. And additionally, I would say it's not really. I don't want to scare you guys, and it's not like it's common for vehicles to burn down. What's more common is that what's more common is that something isn't installed properly. Maybe the wire size isn't right, the fuse isn't right, the wires aren't going the proper place, and then you run into reliability issues. So you run into a system that, you install it and you're not quite sure, and it works a little bit, but not quite. And so that's another thing is with your electrical system, you're relying on it every day I mean, it has to run 24/7 to keep the refrigerator going, to keep the lights on. It has to be working 24/7 every day for the duration of that vehicle's life. So it's in my mind, it's the most critical component. So it should be done properly. You should hire a professional. Someone asked me if I'm a licensed electrician. So here's my history and the reason I'm qualified to do this. Um, is I was for 10 years I was a licensed HVAC technician in Oregon. And so what that means is I would install high voltage and low voltage wiring, thermostats, furnaces, air conditioners, humidifiers. So I would work directly with breaker panels, service disconnects, fuses. So I'm not currently a licensed electrician, but for 10 years I did a lot of the things that a electrician would do. So that's why I'm very comfortable with it. And then beyond that, for about 3 years before I started van life, I helped a friend start a car stereo shop. And so for 3 years, I helped, and he was a master like mobile electronic technician. So for 3 years, I worked specifically on 12-volt electrical systems in cars, trucks, boats, vans. We did subwoofers, amplifiers, headlights, winches, um, air compressors, all kinds of 12-volt appliances. So I learned, um, at that point, how to properly do all the 12-volt connections, how to, do the math to figure out what sizes are needed, what fuses are needed, all the kind of proper procedures for that. So um, that's the answer. I'm not an engineer. Some people ask me that. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a licensed electrician. But the thing is, when we're talking about van conversions, there's no regulatory agency. Like housing is all covered by codes, and you have to have licenses and permits to work on houses. When we're talking about homes on wheels, there's no governing authority. There's nobody that's giving permits. So really, any van builder that you go to, there's there's really no certification for this stuff. So you might find somebody that's certified to be like a car stereo installer or a mobile electronics installer, which was my business partner for 3 years. That's who I learned from. Or you might find somebody that was a residential electrician that worked on houses, but that's not the same as what happens in vans. So the reality is, vans are very different from houses. So there really should be some type of governing body for vehicle electronics for like what we do, but there's just not. It's very niche. So, and the thing is, if you talk to like regular residential electricians, because I've had a lot of clients that I do consulting for, and residential electricians don't like to work on this stuff. They don't really understand DC electricity. They're used to alternating current AC electricity, and for some reason, they just can't really wrap their mind around the DC stuff from the ones I've spoke with. So, um, yeah, so that's kind of what was interesting to me is a lot of regular electricians don't actually want to do this type of work. So that's why I say um, if you end up trying to hire it out, you might have to get multiple people. Like you might need to find, although probably a car stereo guy would be able to do everything. or like a guy that works on like boats or trailers. Like a 12-volt guy would probably be able to do everything, but a residential electrician might not. It just depends. Anyway, that's my spiel on it. Um, that's it. And I've done quite a few systems for folks. So, it makes me confident that my system designs work and that, well, I know they work, but it makes me confident that clients are able to follow along with the plans that I put together. Um, they're pretty good. But it's like, between me designing it, giving you the parts list, we have video to go back and forth. We can talk about it. Um, it's really not that hard to DIY it. The hard part is understanding what to do. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. I'm done talking about it. That's my spiel. Um, I saw a comment come up and someone mentioned um, um, somebody mentioned the benefit of knowing how to work on it yourself. And I would say that's a huge consideration is if you have me design a system and you install it yourself, now as you go through the installation process, you're going to understand what each component is, how it operates. You tightened it down yourself. So you're going to be able to go back and troubleshoot if something comes up. Because when you're in a vehicle and you're moving around and things are bumping around, stuff can happen, stuff can come loose. There's also the potential that the person that installs it, they might have not tightened something down properly. And if you don't have any, understanding of what's going on, you're pretty helpless. And then if you're out traveling and you had the thing installed in California and you're over in Washington and your thing breaks down, who's going to fix it? What are you going to do? You know, if you're out at a campsite and your fuse blows, who are you gonna call? You can call Nomad Brad, but you're gonna want to have at least an understanding of how things operate, how they connect. That so you can kind of do some troubleshooting. So I think it would be beneficial for you to know how things operate, be able to kind of do a little repair, a little troubleshooting, get yourself out of a sticky situation. Just in the same way, I recommend people should know how to change a tire. You should know how to do some stuff on your rig. You should also kind of know about how the electrical system operates. Just because it's like the most important thing. If your water pump goes out, if a ceiling panel falls down, it's not the end of the world. But if your solar stops charging, you know, your fridge is going to get hot in not too much time. So you don't want to let the beef thaw out. So it's important to know how to do that stuff. So I think it's a good choice. And that's for everybody involved. And I do all kinds of consultations though. I can I don't have to design full systems for people that just want initial consulting on like the guy I talked to today, Shannon, we talked for half an hour. My consultation fee is $50 and I just gave him a bunch of just tips, boom, 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 boom about how to get started. And so I can help you guys with that. If you want help, like he wanted help on just trying to figure out logistically how to start his conversion. He's like, can I put the walls up? Can I put the insulation up? Do I do the electrical wires first? What should I do for the floor? So if you guys have you want general conversion help with that kind of stuff, um, I can help you with that too. So here to help out. And then also the free videos. And as I start going on Sir on Dave's box truck and then my box truck, hopefully in February, there'll be a bunch more. I mean, I pump out a lot of free content, so there'll be a lot more learning opportunities and a lot more opportunities for you guys to see what I'm doing um, in person and just kind of learn. And with Nomadics, I'm selling a bunch of DIY parts, so everything's going to be super plug and play. And that's another goal I have is I really want to help people be able to do this stuff on their own and not have it be so out of reach. So I'm going to be having I've been talking about nomadics for a while and it hasn't gone as quickly as I wanted it to. And the thing is I really need a vehicle to do, and install the products on so that I can help you guys out, or so that I can make videos to show you guys. So like this guy right here, this is part of the DIY electrical system. So you guys will be able to just plug in all your outlet boxes like this guy right here. This will be your wall outlet, right? You can mount this to the wall. If you want to flush mount it, you can cut a hole in your wall panel, mount this to the wall, then put the wall panel over it. Give it a nice little flush look. It's got a regular USB, also a USB-C charger, and then it's got 2 outlets. And then it's got the regular wiring, so you can run that through the wall. You can hide it, cover the wall, cover it with the wall panel. And then on the end, right, it's got the little connector pieces, and you just put them in here and tighten it down, and that's it. That's all you have to do for your electrical. You don't have to cut, you don't have to crimp, you don't have to splice anything. You just tighten it with a screwdriver. If you can use a Phillips screwdriver, you can install your own electrical. So these are the kind of products I'm going to be putting out, and I'm excited to help you guys out. It's going to be fun, and it's the same for the solar. And this is all stuff going into the ProMaster here. Same with the solar. Um, you mount this on the roof. You just plug your solar panels in right here, and then on the other end, um, it's going to plug directly into that box I just showed you. There's going to be a little a breaker in that box for your solar. So you just plug it right in. And then the other end, you just plug into your charge controller. So everything's going to be plug and play. And to my knowledge, this does not exist. So there's going to be a lot of solar installers that are going to be pissed at me. And there's going to be a lot of van conversion companies that are going to be pissed because um, it cuts them out. It kind of cuts them out of the loop. But I mean, I think it's more important to empower the people. So we'll see how long till somebody knocks me off, like Blue Eddy or EcoFlow or something starts making this stuff. I don't care. I'm just one dude in a van. I'm not over here trying to get rich. I just want to hang out in nature in my box truck. And as long as I can make a few grand a month, I'm comfortable. I'm good. I'll be out in the woods in my 18-foot box truck with my big 5-foot windows, just watching the trees. Matt AK says, just don't irritate Boeing and you'll be fine. Yeah, exactly. If I end up one day inside my van, hung up by a set of my own solar cables, carotene style, just a set of cables hanging from the ceiling, I didn't do it. I didn't kill myself. It was just some other company that's pissed. Simple Box knows what I'm talking about. I didn't do it. Um, hung by his own solar cords. I was going to tell you guys something else too. Something exciting. So for all you folks that have power stations, all you power station people, like Diana Saylor, if Diana Saylor is still in the chat, listen up, Diana Saylor. If you guys have the big power stations with the 30 amp plugs on them, like that Blue Eddy AC200L that I just reviewed, it has a 30 amp output, and uh, the Oops Mega 2, Diana's still here. The Oops Mega 2 has the 30 amp out, and I think Diana's Oops Mega 3 should have that 30 amp output. I'm also making a box like this. Yeah, Diana has the Mega 3. I think, Diana, yours has a 30 amp output. Anyway, if your power station has a 30 amp shore power plug, 30 amp output, I'm building one of these for you guys so that you can hook up regular 120-volt wall outlets to your power station. So that way you guys can run a power station and you can still use these. You can run basically any 120-volt appliance and you can have it, be at a distance. So you could run like lines like this into the kitchen, into the bedroom. You can run a mini split. You can run a mini split air conditioner off your portable power station with this box. You can also run a regular window air conditioner, anything you want. It's 120 volts. We can run it off your power station. That's coming soon to Nomadic's website as well. Just wanted to let you guys know I'm working on a new product for that. I'm here to help you guys out. You know, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a huge fan of the power stations, but if that's what you guys want to use, who am I to judge? Who am I to tell you no? Who am I to squash your power station dreams? I said no. I will not squash your dreams. I will figure out how I can help you. And that was my biggest complaint with the power station is you can't have outlets. You got to plug everything in to the damn power station. This is all you get. But now with this new product I'm making, you can run regular outlets in the wall. So y'all should be excited about that. And it's gonna be affordable. It's not gonna be expensive. It's gonna be well worth it to have an outlet by your bed, an outlet by the kitchen, an outlet wherever you want. Dustin likes the DIN boxes. I agree, brother. I love the DIN boxes. Plus, they're waterproof just in case. I don't know. Just in case you get some water in the van, you don't got to worry about your electrical. All the residential, I know a lot of people that use the residential boxes in their rigs, and I get it. It's safe. It's like you don't have to worry about it. Like it's residential electrical, it's safe, but I hate it. It's huge. It's clunky. It's all metal. These things are just so streamlined. They're so sleek. They look nice. And you can do everything. Like I can put a solar breaker in the same box. So we can do solar breakers and 110. We can do it all, baby. Spectre Nation says, yo, Nomad. I think we've been going for 71 minutes. I think I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. I'm hungry and I know that um King Gamer's making dinner for us. So he invited me over. King Gamer is box truck sitting tonight. So I'm gonna go over there and get some food. Scott was that Scott? Who was that in the chat? Top chat, live chat, live chat. Where are we at? Yeah, Scott says how many outlets are a good number. Um, so yeah, Scott, if you really want to do a portable power station, I know we talked before about that EcoFlow thing. Um, I'm happy to figure it out for you. We still need to design your system, but if it works out that we can get, my concern is just you need a lot of electrical, Scott. But if we can make it work with the EcoFlow, I'm not opposed to it, dude. I want to help you out, do what's right for you, man. I'm not gonna hold you back, bro. But we still need to do the calculations and get that sorted. So, um, if you want, we could move forward on that. Oh, Scott says no EcoFlow. Okay. Anyway, yeah, Scott, that's what we need to do is really do your system design, buddy. But how many outlets? I would say in general, what you guys want to have is you want to have. So I like to do actually the quad outlets, and that's something else I'm going to offer. This is just two outlets, but in my van, I have the fourplex, and so I'll offer that to you guys as well, that um, you can get four, and so I would do a four-way in your kitchen because you have some appliances you want to leave plugged in all the time, like a coffee maker or your induction cooktop or something like that. There's some stuff you want to leave plugged in all the time. You don't want to be having to unplug and switch it out. So I would do like a four-way in the kitchen. I would also do a four-way if you're going to have some type of like a workstation, like if you're gonna plug in like a computer or a video game stuff or a TV or a monitor, I would do a four-way as well, internet router, and then I would have maybe like a double by your bed. So that's one, two, three. That's three. So I would at least do 3. I'd have 1 by the kitchen area, 1 by the bed, 1 by, like, your workstation. 3 hours away, I'm so excited. One Diana, I need to get a solar charger. Diana, I thought you have a power station. What are you getting a solar charger for? What are you doing? What are you doing, Diana? Are you building a regular battery system also? Aren't you gonna just plug your solar panels into your OOPS power station, or are you doing a regular power station or power system too? Yeah, I agree, guys. I think a power station is a better supplement. I don't want to rely on one personally. I've explained why a million times. I'm not going to go over it again, um, but some people, they just want to have a primary power station. Diana wanting to keep her options open. Well, the reason I asked Diana is because you got to make sure that your panels are compatible with your power station. Like you can get any charge controller you want that'll be compatible with your solar panels. That can go to a regular battery bank, no sweat. But for a power station, it's going to be limited what solar panels are going to be compatible with it. So I don't want you to be running off buying solar panels if they're not compatible. Make sure you check in with old Nomad Brad. We steer you in the right direction. Um, but also, what you could do, the thing I hook up to the battery. Oh, so Diana, do you have regular batteries, Diana? Are you doing are you doing solar panels and a charge controller and a regular lithium battery on top of your OOPS power station? That's my question for you. That's my question, ma'am. Although honestly, you can probably um you can probably the OOPS, I have to look at the specs for the OOPS Mega 3, but I bet it accepts at least 100 volts of solar. Nick says I travel and move a lot, so power station with a fast alternator charger. Yeah, yeah, if you move around a lot, that Blue Eddy Charger 1 is dope. I like that a lot. Um I like it a lot. And the fact that it works with multiple brands of power stations is dope because I mean, if there's a good chance you're going to end up upgrading or buying a different power station in the future. Diana says the Blue Eddy A1 solar charger. Blue Eddy, I thought you had the oops. The Blue Eddy Charger 1? Diana, I don't know what you're talking about. You can't use solar panels with the Blue Eddy Charger 1. I don't know. If Diana, if you want help, Diana, I'm happy to just have a chat with you. You don't have to even pay. Diana, Diana is the OG supporter of Nomad Brad. She's been around since the beginning, been around for years. She's at all the live streams. I just want to make sure, Diana, that you don't buy something you cannot use. So if you want to do just a quick little phone chat, I'm happy to help you out and just make sure you're in the right direction. We can get it ironed out. If not, all power to you, girl. You just go get it. Go get it. But I'm just offering that if you want some help. Um, let Nomad Brad make sure you're getting the right stuff. But anyway, that's my spiel. All right, guys, I gotta go. I'm starving. I haven't eaten in hours. That's it. It's Wednesday. Thank you for joining the live. There will be a video coming out Sunday. It's going to be a vlog style video about my return to San Diego. It's going to include some stuff about the build here today and some stuff I haven't even filmed yet. I honestly don't even know what's going to be in the whole video. So watch the video Sunday and then tune in next Wednesday. I'll probably be at Schoolie Palooza. Right? Yeah, holy cow. Next Wednesday, I'll be most likely going live from Schoolie Palooza. So, yeah, tune in next Wednesday. Appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you for the super chat, Super Dave, with the big, generous super chat. I appreciate you. Also, is it Cynthia, Krista? I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. But the lovely lady I spoke to on the phone this afternoon, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. I will see you guys next Wednesday. Tune in live. This is Nomad Brad from the Ram ProMaster Electrical Installation signing out. Peace.